Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Layla, and it's my quiet joy to be the voice you listen to as you drift into rest tonight. This evening, we'll journey together into a tale close to my heart, a story about the Moonlit Harbor, where an old sailor keeps watch over dreams as gentle as the tide. Every sleep story I share is a gift of calm, a small space away from the rush of the day, a place just for you. If you'd like, you can leave a note in the comments. Share what dreams you hope for, or simply let me know if the story helped you rest. Remember, you can set a timer so the video ends exactly when you wish, and it's always a good idea to turn off autoplay so your sleep stays peaceful without interruption. Now, let's take a moment for gentle relaxation, and then we'll step together into tonight's story. Before tonight's story begins, let us take a gentle journey together, a journey inward. I will count down from 10 to 1, and with each number, you may let go a little more. 10. Feel the support beneath you. Your bed, your chair, the steady earth holding it all. Let yourself rest into that support now. 9. You are safe. All is well. Allow my voice to be an anchor, a guide that will bring you only to safe and gentle places. 8. Notice your body, feet, hands, face, belly, wherever you hold tightness. Let it soften now. Your body has worked hard today. It deserves to rest. 7. The day is done. What has been has been. What will come will come. Here you are, in this moment, and this moment is enough. 6. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be, only here with the sound of my voice and the story that waits for you. 5. You deserve rest. You deserve peace. Let that truth settle deep within, like a stone sinking gently into calm water. 4. Perhaps feel gratitude now for your breath, for shelter, for the gift of this simple pause. Each small blessing opens the heart and softens the mind. 3. Begin to open the door of imagination. See the moonlit sea ahead, hear the tide, smell the salt air. Somewhere far yet near, a harbor waits. 2. Check your body once more. Release what still holds tight. Sink deeper now, supported, safe. 1. Completely letting go. The moonlit harbor is before you, its lanterns glowing, its waters calm. And now, the story begins. Long ago, or perhaps only last night, depending on how you measure time, there was a harbor where the sea breathed slowly beneath the moon. The harbor was not large, nor was it famous, but those who came upon it never forgot the way its wooden piers stretched into silver water, nor how the lanterns swayed gently with each whisper of wind. Some called it the Moonlit Harbor, for under a full sky its quiet water held the light as if it were a secret meant only for dreamers. Here lived an old sailor, known not for the voyages he once took across restless seas, but for the peace that now settled around him. His cottage leaned against the harbor's edge, its walls washed in salt and stories. The timbers had grown dark with age, the roof bowed beneath the years, yet within those walls there was always warmth. A low fire crackled, the scent of pinewood smoke mixing with the sharper perfume of the ocean. Outside, the waves sang against the stone breakwater, and inside, the sailor listened, his eyes reflecting the silver path that the moon drew across the tide. Those who visited the harbor often said it was difficult to tell where land ended and sea began, for everything here seemed joined by the hush of night. The tide carried more than water. It carried the weight of memories, the hush of forgotten journeys, and the gentle promise of rest. The sailor, sitting by his small round window, would watch the world lean towards stillness. Sometimes he would hum to himself a tune he had learned far away, now softened by years, until it was no more than a breath. It was said that this harbor, under his watch, had become a place where even the most restless soul could find calm. If one arrived weary from travel, the harbor met them with its slow rhythm, the planks beneath their feet steady, the lanterns above them kind. If one arrived troubled in thought, the harbor answered not with words, but with the sound of the tide, each wave a patient reminder that nothing need be hurried. And if one arrived sleepless, heart heavy, and eyes unwilling to close, then perhaps the sailor himself would rise from his chair, open his door, and with a smile as old as the sea, welcome them into his quiet dream. So tonight, as the world grows dim and the moon begins its patient climb, you too may walk the worn path that leads to the moonlit harbor. You may hear the gulls fold into silence, may smell the salt carried by the breeze, may feel the cool boards of the pier beneath your feet. And if you listen closely, you will hear it. The sailor, quiet, dream, waiting for you, ready to guide you gently into rest. The moonlit harbor lay hushed beneath the weight of night, its silence broken only by the steady breath of the tide. Here, along the weathered planks of the docks, time moved at a slower rhythm. The sea, dark and gleaming with threads of silver, reached inward toward the land, its foam curling like soft lace against the stones. The lanterns swayed upon their hooks, casting ovals of light that trembled on the water, as if the sea itself had chosen to wear a necklace of gold. At the edge of the longest pier, an old fishing boat rocked gently, its ropes creaking, its hull sighing against the wood. No one worked her now, not since the sailor set down his net, but still she rested faithfully, as though waiting for one last voyage, a voyage not across seas, but across dreams. Those who had walked the docks in daylight knew them as a place of bustle, with girls wheeling, with children running, with merchants calling out the day's catch. But at night, when the moon painted her path across the sky, the docks became something else entirely, a cathedral of stillness, its hymns sung by the water, its prayers whispered by the wind. Each board beneath the feet carried its own memory, 1,000 steps of sailors returning weary, 1,000 goodbyes pressed into the salt air. Now those footsteps had faded, yet the boards remembered, holding each story within their grain, so that even the silence seemed full, a silence alive, a silence breathing. The old sailor himself would sometimes walk the length of the pier after nightfall, his boots soft against the wood, his lantern swinging low. He moved without hurry, as if each step were a conversation with the sea, a question asked, a reply given in the language of waves. He would pause at the end, look out upon the horizon, and in that dark expanse find not emptiness, but comfort. The stars above, scattered like white seeds upon velvet, offered their light freely. The sea below mirrored them, a double sky, a sky one could drift into. When travelers arrived at the harbor in such hours, they often found themselves hushed, their voices falling to whispers, their steps softer than they intended, for the docks themselves seemed to ask for reverence, to ask for stillness, and to grant in return a deep, settling peace. There were times when the rain would sweep in from the sea, a fine mist carried upon the wind, gathering upon hair and cloak. The planks darkened under its touch, and the lantern flames bent, yet never extinguished. In those moments, the docks seemed to breathe more deeply, welcoming the rain as a guest, folding it into the lullaby of night. There were nights too when fog would creep across the water, its pale veil wrapping every post and rope, blurring the line between sea and sky. It was on such nights that the harbor felt timeless, as though the world beyond had slipped away, leaving only the sailor, the tide, and the moon. And always the sea sang on, her voice steady, her voice endless, a song without beginning or end, a song that entered the bones, softening the muscles, quieting the mind. The silent docks held many such nights, and in each of them the traveler could find rest, not in sleep alone, but in the pause that comes before sleep, that tender edge where thoughts slow, where breath deepens, where the soul leans gently toward dreams. In the quiet hours of night, the sailor would sit within his cottage by the harbor, his chair worn smooth by years, his gaze always drifting toward the open sea. The fire glowed low, casting its amber light upon the walls, where ropes hung and shells gathered, and maps yellowed with salt and time. Each piece was a story, each story a thread, and together they wove the fabric of his memory. Once, long ago, he had sailed beyond the horizon to islands where the palms bent low with fruit, to cities where towers caught the sun, to harbors far busier than his own, where voices rose like tides of their own. But always, always, he had carried within him the memory of this small harbor, the one that now held him gently, as the moon held the tide. When the wind rattled the windows, he remembered storms, fierce and wild, that had lifted his ship upon waves tall as mountains. He remembered the cries of gulls lost in the gale, the sting of salt upon his lips, the way the ocean showed both fury and grace in the same breath. And when the fire calmed, when the rain softened against the roof, he remembered gentler days, when the sea shone like glass, and the sails swelled with a wind as kind as a friend's voice. His cottage was filled with keepsakes, not treasures of gold, but treasures of memory. A carved box given by a fisherman in the East, a string of beads from a girl who had waved from a dock, a feather from a bird that had landed upon his mast and traveled with him for days. To others, they would seem small, perhaps forgotten. To him, they were the compass points of a life, marking each journey, each kindness, each night beneath the stars. Often, When the harbor was silent, he would take out a small wooden flute, its edges worn smooth by his hands. He would raise it to his lips, and a low tune would wander out, a tune as old as the tides, as patient as the moon itself. It was not a song for performance, but a song for remembering, for weaving the past into the present until they became one fabric. The villagers, those who sometimes walked to his cottage with weary hearts, would sit by his fire, listening. They would ask about the world beyond, about the far oceans, about places their eyes would never see. And the sailor, with his voice steady, would tell them, not with pride, but with gentleness. He spoke of sunsets red as embers, of nights when whales surfaced, their breath rising like fountains beneath the stars, of dawns when the sea was so still it seemed to hold its breath with him. Yet he always ended his stories the same way. He always said, no matter how far I went, I always returned here. For here the sea is not wild, but kind. Here the moon does not blaze, but soothes. Here a heart can find its rest. And the listeners, their shoulders heavy from work, their eyes dim with worry, would soften. They would leave his cottage not with knowledge alone, but with calm, as though they too had sailed far and returned safely home. The sailor's memories were not chains, they were lanterns hung along the path of his life. Each one glowed still, not to blind, but to guide. And on nights when sleep came slowly, he would let those lanterns light his mind until he drifted as softly as his boat upon the tide into dreams. There were nights when the harbor glowed not only with the moon, but with the soft bloom of lanterns hung along the pier. Villagers would light them one by one, their flames trembling in the breeze, their glass catching the silver light of the sea. To see the harbor then was to see a necklace of stars fallen to earth, resting gently upon wood and rope and water. The sea accepted their glow, stretching the light into ripples, weaving gold upon silver until the whole harbor seemed wrapped in a shawl of warmth. Children would follow their parents, carrying small lanterns of their own, their laughter softened by the hush of night. Fishermen, their nets set aside, would stand shoulder to shoulder, watching the tide carry the lantern light outward, as though the sea herself were taking the gift and spreading it wide. The sailor loved these nights most of all. He would lean upon the railing, his lantern swinging low, his eyes reflecting the gentle blade. In those lights he saw not only fire, but memory. The memory of faces, the memory of voices, the memory of journeys that had ended safely. The lanterns did not chase away the night. They joined it, softened it, made it a companion rather than a shadow. And for those who walked the piers, each step became lighter, as though the boards themselves carried them forward, buoyed by light, by sea, by moon. Sometimes a traveler would arrive on such a night, a stranger to the harbor, yet drawn by the shimmer across the water. They would pause at the edge, their burdens heavy upon their shoulders, their eyes weary with longing for rest. And the sailor, as was his way, would greet them with a nod, perhaps a word, perhaps only silence, for sometimes silence was the kinder welcome. He would lead them toward the lanterns, letting the light do the speaking. Each flame seemed to whisper its own story. A fisherman returned, a child born, a safe crossing, a reunion upon the shore. And as the traveler walked among them, their heart would soften, their mind would ease, until even their breath matched the rhythm of tide and flame. The harbor of lanterns was not a festival. It was quieter than that, more intimate. It was a prayer offered without words, a song sung without voices, a gift shared simply by being present. And when the lanterns finally dimmed, when the villagers drifted home, when only the sailor remained by the sea, the harbor did not darken, for in the hearts of those who had walked the piers, the light still glowed, gentle, unfading. The lanterns became memories, the memories became dreams, and the dreams became rest. So it was there in the Moonlit Harbor, no one left without carrying a little more peace than they had brought. As the night deepened, the harbor grew quieter still, as though the world itself were sinking into slumber. The lanterns burned low, their flames curling small within the glass, yet steady, refusing to vanish. The moon slid higher, casting her silver hand across the tide, a hand that guided, a hand that soothed. The sailor sat once more at the end of the pier, his figure still, his breath matching the waves. He was not asleep, yet not awake, for his heart had drifted into the realm between, where memory becomes dream and dream becomes peace. Travelers who had come to the harbor often spoke of this moment. They said that if you lingered long enough, you too could feel it, a gentle loosening, a soft serenity. It was as if the harbor itself breathed you into rest, as if the sea itself carried your worries out upon her tide. Close your eyes now, and you are sensitive to the creak of the ropes, the hush of the waves, the faint sigh of the wind slipping between masts. Each sound is a thread, and together they weave a blanket of calm, a blanket of sleep. The sailor's dream was not one of storms, nor of distance. It was a dream of safe harbors, of journeys complete, of faces smiling in the glow of lantern light. In his dream, the sea no longer called him outward, but held him close, like a friend, like a lullaby. And as you drift with him now, your breath grows heavy, your body softens, your mind loosens its grip. Thoughts slide away, one by one, like ships leaving the harbor, their sails fading into the night. The harbor remains steady, waiting, guarding. It does not demand, it does not hurry. It simply holds, like the arms of the sea, like the arms of sleep. The sailor's eyes close at last. His head bows, his hands rest upon his knee. The tide rocks gently, the night leans low, and the dream deepens. Now, you too may surrender, allowing the harbor to hold you, allowing the sailor's quiet dream to become your home. Let go of the day, let go of the noise, let go of the weight. You are safe here, you are home here, and the sea, the moon, the sailor all whisper the same word: rest. The harbor rests now, il entend dim, its waters calm. The moon continues her watch, casting her silver path across the sea. Yet all is hushed, all is safe. You have walked the pier, you have breathed the salt air, you have heard the sailor's quiet dream. And now it is time to carry that dream within you. Close your eyes fully, let the images drift, let the tide of sleep gather you in. The sea will hold you, the harbor will guard you, the sailor will keep watch. Each breath is a wave, arriving, departing, arriving, departing. A rhythm older than memory, a rhythm that belongs to the ocean, a rhythm that belongs to you. Tonight there are no storms. Tonight there are no burdens. Only this harbor, only this moon, only this peace. Sleep deeply now, held by the quiet, held by the night. And when morning comes, you will rise lighter, clearer, renewed. Until then, rest fully, dream kindly, sleep sweetly. Sweet dreams.